So it's been 2 weeks since the Scourge League started. Uh, this is the build that I played. This is what I league started with. I think the build right at this point is pretty min-maxed. There are very few upgrades that I could do, and they are usually very expensive and don't really. I don't feel like they are worth right now. Probably the best thing that I could do is replace this belt and get Mage Blood, and that's the only noticeable upgrade that I could do to this build. You'll see that some of the items here are actually very cheap, probably 2 to 3 exiles at best. Maybe the chest piece would be a bit more expensive, but usually the build is very cheap, and upgrading to a better item doesn't really improve the build that much. Since this is a league starter, um, it can be played with minimal gear investment. Now, one of the things that I did compared to my previous build guide um, was giving up on Wild Bastion, took Profane Bloom, and here I took this route here with Curse Effectiveness, and this I spent another 3 points here to get Skittering Runes. The reason why I did that is because I'm running Blasphemy with Enfeeble. I don't recommend using Temporal Chains because with Temporal Chains the mobs will attack slower but they can still one-shot you. With Enfeeble, even if they attack faster, it's a very high chance that they will not kill you because of the Enfeeble. So taking this path here gives me more survivability, gives me more, it makes me more tankier. Um, and Skittering Runes also gives another 10% increase effect of curses because it has plus 10 to maximum doom, so it basically gives 20% increase effect of curses. I took a Watcher's Eye with a chance to block spell damage while affected by discipline and faster start of energy shield recharge. Um, this is the passive tree, this is what it looks like. So here I took damage over time multiplier if you have killed recently. I think you can skip this point because for mapping you don't really need it. Maybe it's good against beyond bosses, to be honest. Then you have this called Mastery, -5. Here 3% of mana as ES. I dropped the increased effect of non-damaging elements here. I used to have it, but since I'm running this cluster setup, I don't use it anymore. Um, Here I have increased spell damage per 16 intelligence. I took this route just because it gives me spell damage and block. Here I took strength per allocated mastery. Breath of Rhyme with curses on enemies in your shielding areas have 15 increase effect. These nodes right here. I don't have Frostwalker and I think I will not take it anyway. Took these nodes right here, and here less damage taken from damage over time. Here we have Discipline, increased mana reservation efficiency. One thing is I dropped this mana mastery for clarity just because at the moment I have enough mana to spam my skills. I dropped some block nodes here, and I also dropped this cluster with safeguard. I don't use it anymore. And the reason for that is because I needed to get a jewel. I needed to get a jewel for my corrupting blood, right? So the closest thing I could get was this here with 3 points, or this here with another 3 points, right? And I also didn't have 30% increased effectiveness of shield. Now I have 29.7 or something like that. So basically what I did, I got myself this jewel. It's very important to have 3 notables, 2 of which are Conjured Wall and Mage Hunter, which is this right here. So this gives me 10% chance to block spell damage. Then I have a medium cluster jewel with Deep Chill and Viral Reinvigoration. So this gives me another 48% increased damage over time. So it's basically 48% spell damage and 60% increased effect of cold elements because this cluster is here is the same as this one. Then I have a jewel with corrupted blood cannot be inflicted on you. And this is just a very good jewel with nice stats. Just I use it um, because I didn't want to spend another 3 points on a cluster jewel. I didn't think it was worth it. Here the same. This is the same. What I do is when I'm bossing, I'm swapping Enfeeble and uh, a Blasphemy with Elemental Weakness. I have put Control Destruction here and I'm running Malevolence. The reason the so now I have 91% mana, but it's enough to cast all my spells. I have triple curses like this, so this is what I do for bosses, but usually I do this only for serious mavens and stuff like that. I don't use it um, for conquerors, although you can do it if you struggle on damage, but I don't really bother with it because it takes some time and just uh, swapping back and forth I don't think is worth the time and the effort. Maybe it is if you don't have enough damage to kill jokes or something like that. For the damage, uh, almost 400,000 on tooltip. But basically, what I did um, when I calculated it in POB, it was roughly around 3 million Shaper DPS. One thing that I didn't include in my previous guide was using Steel Skin. And the reason why I didn't have it is because I didn't have this amulet. But I managed to get one with a lot of stats. If I didn't hit plus 25 to all attributes, I think I would have to get more stats from my items, from my rings. But since I got that, uh, and with this mastery right here, I'm sitting at 162 strength and 133 dexterity. That's very important because um, steel skin requires a lot of strength, right? Um, it's a level 21 steel skin. I guess it's around 156 strength, if I'm not mistaken. Then for my gem setups, I have clarity. You don't have to have full clarity, and I don't have it because I don't have any hotkeys left. As you can see, I'm running steel skin on my left click. I use space for frostbite, right click for vortex, Q for shield charge, W flame dash, D for frost bump, F for creeping frost, and then I'm using mouse buttons for punishment and frost shield. Okay, so that's the reason why I don't have clarity, full clarity. And I'm also I would like to have face run, but there's no hotkey left, and I don't think it's really that important. Now let's go over the gem setups. Volt Discipline is very important to get Volt Discipline, is this one right here. Basically, when you get very low, you just press your Volt Discipline and you're back to full energy shield. Again, try to get Blasphemy, Awakened Blasphemy, and Enfeeble. It's just, you really need Enfeeble for mapping, otherwise you will die. The gems on my body armor are basically the same. Swift Affliction, Creeping Frost, Control Distraction, Elemental Focus, Vortex, and Hypothermia. Then we have Frost Shield, Steel Skin, and Crystal Effect. This is my weapon. You can ignore the aspect of the spider. You don't need it. What one big trap that you can fall into is going for a wand with +2. Although a wand with +2, it's usually better. It's just about 10% more damage. And I don't think you can afford getting 16% increased attack speed. Realistically, uh, when you go for a +2 wand, you don't really have. Maybe you have 60% spell damage and 20% cold multi, and that's basically it. You don't really have attack speed. So I chose to keep this one and not go for a +1, just because a +2 wand, although it's 10% more damage, I lose the attack speed, and the reason why I need the attack speed is for shield charge. So I decided, and also a +2 wand is very expensive, and I don't think 10% more damage is really that worth it, considering that shield charge I'm using always while mapping, right? So I'm always using shield charge while mapping, whereas 10% more damage on a boss is not really that big of a difference. So like from 30 seconds, you're going to spend like 27 seconds or something like that. Not that big of a deal. Uh, so I'm sacrificing more DPS for more quality of life. Here I have Frostbomb, Punishment, and Frostbite. So the reason why we use Punishment is because Punishment, when the bosses go below 50% HP, they take 80% increased damage unless they are like Awakeners. Because Awakener will have 33% effect. Basically, your curse will be applied at 33%. But usually the other bosses will take like 100 and something percent more damage. It will take increased damage because 80% from the punishment, and then uh, like 90% increased curse effectiveness because of Doom, and I think I have like 50% increased curse effectiveness from my passive tree and from my ascendancy. So they will take like twice the damage. Um, Frostbite, my third curse. Then we have shield charge, faster attacks, flame dash, and arcane surge. Vol cold snap is very important. You get vol cold snap with bound shield, faster casting, and awakened elemental focus. The reason why we use faster casting is because when we are mapping, cold snap is our main clearing skill. Although vortex can help, and basically creeping frost we almost never use it except for bosses. Now, um, when I'm doing hard bosses, as I said before, I swap faster casting with control destruction because you don't really need it for hard bosses. And here I have Tempest Shield. Uh, it's just good. It gives us 25% or 26% chance to block spell damage. At the moment, I'm sitting at 65% block without Rumi's concoction and 45%. And with Rumi's, I'm sitting at 57 and 70. Almost block capped, but not quite. Um, Pantheon, here it is. Debuffs expire 20% faster, Solo Farah Kali. Take 10% reduced damage from damage over time. And then we have Soul of Yugul with 30% reduced effect of curses on you. As for the items, I have these boots. So basically what you do, you get a pair of these boots and you slam dense and metallic fossil, and then you just change the resistance to whatever you need with harvest, right? So you are looking for boots like this with an empty prefix. The moment you get an empty prefix, you just craft onslaught. For the gloves, um, just spam dense fossils until you get an empty suffix, and you are happy with the suffixes as well as the prefixes. When you have an empty suffix, go for 25% chance to avoid being stunned. The same goes for the helmet. On my helmet, as you can see, it's one with malevolence, has increased mana reservation efficiency, just because I need it. If you don't have a malevolence has increased 30% mana reservation efficiency, just don't run aspect of the spider. I mean, you can run aspect of the spider while mapping, but you just don't activate it while bossing, if that makes sense. It's a redeemer helmet, but it doesn't really matter. It can be a normal hubris circlet. Body armor, a lot of energy shield vol regalia with an empty prefix to craft chance to avoid being stunned. It's very important you get the chance to avoid being stunned to 25%. This is the most important because you are getting 25 here, 25 here, 25 here. So that's put us at 75. And then you go here for another 25 and we are 100% stun immune. The amulet showed it again. Just the resistances and the ES on ring. This ring here is a bit more expensive, but you don't realistically need it. This is just because I had the currency for, and I think it was like 1 exalt or something, not that expensive, right? And this shield, what I want to show you is and discuss about recover energy shield on block and why I think you don't really need it. So I chose to go for chance to avoid elemental ailments, chance to block, and 75 and faster start of energy shield recharge on top of a lot of ES. So the reason why I did that is because I have a mastery here which gives me 1% chance to block attack damage per 5% chance to block on equipped shield. So this gives me another 2%. Then I have faster start of energy shield recharge because I have also on my body armor and because I also have it on my jewel here. This jewel I think I paid less than 1 exalt for it, so it's not that expensive. But if you don't have the currency, don't worry, you don't really need it. But this is, I said, this is just almost min maxed. The build is almost min maxed. I can still make some improvements, but this is as close as it can get to the end game. I'm level 97. I guess I'll show you a map real quick just to kind of give you an idea of how strong this build is. This is a very dangerous map, but I will do it anyway. I don't want to put Beyond on it because I don't feel like wasting 15 minutes doing it, but I could do it with Beyonds and Scarabs and Sextons and all that. I can really do the map. I don't really die. One thing is I'm swapping my so I swapped my weapon to get a rampage, and I'll explain it for those of you who don't know, but I think most of you know that when you kill one mob with Sinvicta or the other two weapons for that give rampage, you are gaining rampage if you kill one mob, and then you just keep killing monsters, and this just gives me a lot of clear speed. And yeah, so basically this build, you're very much immortal except for like if you try to tank serious meteor. I died to it, but the beam doesn't kill you. So yeah, if you read map mods and you don't do anything stupid, I don't think there's a chance for you to die. I would advise not running maps with a reduced chance to block or crit multi if you care about your experience, but even with those modifiers, this build doesn't really struggle. So as you can see, the clear speed, very nice. I think I forgot to show you the flasks, but I wanna emphasize the point that you can get to 300 stacks of scourge. The only issue is you don't really get maps to go to that much, but you can get to, if you can get to 300, you don't have to worry about dying. This build was immortal in Scourge even before nerfs. The nerfs didn't really affect this build because the monsters would not kill you anyway. Now the Scourge is nerfed, but still the build was performing even before the nerfs. I told you this map is very dangerous because it has vulnerability. less effect of curses, which means the monsters will hit harder because they will not be affected that much by the enfeeble. Uh, and that's why you see my energy shield dropping sometimes. But um, if it doesn't have that mod with less effect of curses and vulnerability, you'd pretty much never have to worry about dying unless you do something really stupid, like I don't know, standing and taking damage from monsters for too long of a time. But if you play normally, you don't take damage. Um, so I'll show you boss, uh, the boss DPS. Uh, this build, although I said it's min-maxed, uh, realistically you can expect 1 mil shaper DPS with like 2 or 3 exalts invested. Right now I think I'm sitting around 1.5 mil or maybe 2 mils, but that's because I'm not running elemental weakness and I also don't have um, what is it called, malevolence, because I'm just mapping. This is my mapping setup, so I have less damage, but when I'm doing serious and I'm swapping gems, I do a lot of damage. Um, I'm not swapping for map bosses because they're usually not that difficult. As you can see, it takes a while to kill them, but yeah. One thing is very important, try to get your strength to 156 so that you can use the steel skin. Steel skin is very helpful because it prevents you from bleeding, and what this build struggles is taking damage over time and degens. So any degen or damage over time will be uh, very against this build because it prevents you from recharging your energy shield. At the moment, after 0.8 or 7 seconds, something like that, I'm recharging my ES and I'm back to full immediately. So that's pretty nice because previously it was very difficult to go for even 1.5 seconds. It was very difficult to go for. Now since they changed it, it's much easier. Yeah, so this is the build. Um, I could I could have gone faster while mapping, but I didn't. Also, the map uh, was very deadly because it had vulnerability, and vulnerability is very hard for occultists because you don't have a lot of fizz mitigation. So let's go over flasks real quick. The most important, reduce effect of curses on you with increased effect. If you can get it. If not, just get the reduce effect of curses on a eye level 84 or 85 flask. I don't know, 84. Okay. Then evasion, movement speed, and taste of fate, and the Ramis concoction. That's pretty much it.